An act or omission punishable by the Revised Penal Code of the Philippines. A. Crime. B. Hebel offense. C. Felony. D. Ordinance correct. Answer C. Felony rationalization. Under Philippine criminal law, particularly Article 3 of the Revised Penal Code, RPC, the term felony is used to refer to acts and omissions punishable by the Revised Penal Code. The article states, Article 3, definitions. Acts and omissions punishable by law are felonies. Delitos. Therefore, any wrongful act or failure to act that is punishable under the Revised Penal Code, e.g., murder, theft, estafa, is called a felony. Why the other choices are incorrect. A. Crime. The term crime is a generic or broader term referring to any act or omission punishable by any law, whether the Revised Penal Code or special laws. Hence, while a felony is a kind of crime, not all crimes are felonies. For example, violations of special laws, like the Dangerous Drugs Act, are crimes but not felonies, since they are not punished under the RPC. B. Offense. Like crime, offense is a general term for acts punishable under any penal law, including local ordinances or special laws. The term offense is commonly used in the rules of criminal procedure and includes both felonies, RPC, and violations of special laws or ordinances. Therefore, it is broader than felony. D. Ordinance. An ordinance is a local law enacted by a city or municipal council. The term does not refer to the act or omission itself, but rather to the law or regulation violated. Violations of ordinances are punishable, but they are not called felonies since ordinances are local laws, not part of the Revised Penal Code. Summary. In summary, a felony specifically refers to an act or omission punishable under the Revised Penal Code, while crime and offense are broader terms covering violations of both the RPC and special laws. An ordinance, meanwhile, is a local law enacted by a local government unit, and its violations are not classified as felonies. Therefore, the correct answer is C, felony. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a fundamental concept in Philippine criminal law that often causes confusion. What exactly is a felony? If you've ever watched a legal drama or read a news report, you've heard this term, but its specific legal meaning is crucial. So, let's break it down. First things first, let's turn to the law itself. Article 3 of our Revised Penal Code gives us the official definition. It states, acts and omissions punishable by law are felonies. It's a short sentence, but it's packed with meaning. Let's unpack the two key parts, acts and omissions. An act is pretty straightforward. It refers to any bodily movement that produces an effect in the external world. When someone actively does something forbidden by the law, like taking another person's property, that's a felony by commission. It's an overt, physical action. But what about an omission? This is where it gets interesting. An omission means failing to do something that the law requires you to do. For example, a person who witnesses a crime might not have a general duty to report it. However, if a specific law, like one related to treason, requires you to report knowledge of a conspiracy, failing to do so is a felony by omission. You're being held liable not for what you did, but for what you didn't do when you had a legal duty to act. Now, you might be thinking, wait, I've also heard the words crime, offense, and ordinance. Are they all the same as a felony? That's a great question, and the answer is no, not exactly. In the technical, legal sense, these terms have distinct meanings. A felony specifically refers to a violation of the Revised Penal Code. Think of it as the big book of major crimes in the Philippines. So when we talk about theft, homicide, or estafa under the Revised Penal Code, we are talking about felonies. An offense, on the other hand, is the term used for violations of special penal laws. These are laws created by Congress that are outside of the Revised Penal Code, like the Dangerous Drugs Act or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act. While they are still crimes, we technically call them offenses. And finally, a violation of an ordinance refers to breaking a local law passed by a city or municipal council. These are usually minor infractions like jaywalking or violating a local curfew. So, while all felonies are crimes, not all crimes are technically called felonies. It depends on which law is being violated. So, what is the nature of felonies in our legal system? Felonies can be committed in two ways, which relate to the mental state of the person committing them. These are dolo, or deceit, and culpa, or fault. Dolo means there is deliberate intent. The person intended to commit the wrongful act. They knew what they were doing was wrong and decided to do it anyway. This is what we typically think of when we imagine a crime, a conscious decision to break the law. These are called intentional felonies. For instance, planning and carrying out a robbery involves dolo. Culpa, on the other hand, refers to fault or negligence. In this case, the person didn't intend to cause harm, but the wrongful act resulted from their imprudence, negligence, lack of foresight, or lack of skill. Think of a driver who is texting while driving and causes a fatal accident. They didn't intend to harm anyone, but their reckless behavior led to a tragic outcome. This is a culpable felony. The act is still punishable, but the basis of the liability is their negligence, not their intent. Understanding these distinctions between acts and omissions, between felonies and other crimes, and between dolo and culpa is fundamental to grasping how our criminal justice system works. It shows that the law doesn't just look at the result, but also at the action, the inaction, and the mindset behind it. And that's our legal deep dive for today. I hope this cleared things up for you. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about Philippine law in a simple, easy-to-understand way, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.